Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. And let me try to advance to the next slide. Okay, so ARM is in a period of transition. So a lot of the new and exciting stuff that's underway isn't official yet, so I can't really talk about it. But I can talk about one new project that just began. And I noticed as I've been talking to some of the people in the audience, there is some old members who sort of faded away, so I'd like to just do a quick review about what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it. So we're in Pittsburgh. We were established in 2017 by a grant written by CMU. CMU Dean, who's now head of the Manufacturing Futures Institute, which is co-located in the same building. We have new headquarters in Mill 19, which was a Jones and Laughlin steel foundry built in 1890. This was an open hearth furnace, and you can see the open hearth furnace doors underneath behind the stairs. So we are one of 9 DoD Manufacturing Innovation Institutes and one of 17 Manufacturing USA Institutes. This network of institutes works to help improve certain sectors of manufacturing within the United States. So for example, some people come to ARM and say, well, we want to digitize our full manufacturing process. There's actually an institute that's dedicated to that, and we would refer you to our sister institute. We received a grant, a 7-year grant of $120 million. And the way in which we directed that money initially was to develop open call projects in which we mature technologies, manufacturing technologies from TRL level 4 to TRL level 7. Through specific project calls. And the project calls have topics that are chosen by the membership and by the DoD. We currently have an ecosystem of about 400 members. We funded about 120 projects to date, and we moved into our new headquarters. So the three features of the ARM is one is to develop the ecosystem and make sure that it's represented by a good and redundant section of manufacturers, research institutes, different stakeholders that can improve and robustify manufacturing within the US. This also includes standards organizations, government offices, academia, small, medium enterprises. Another section is the technology development, which is the part that I'm involved in. And the third part is education and workforce development. Developing skilled manufacturing workers who don't necessarily pursue the path of university degree to a robotics engineer, but do wish to become robotics career professionals, typically through a more vocational path. And so this is part of the development that we do for our workforce. So in terms of the education and workforce development, there are a couple of things that we do. One is we review robotics programs to make sure that they have a uniform quality of curriculum. We certify them, some of these programs. So that an ARM certification also means that if you're selecting one of these programs, it satisfies a minimum level of quality, and that's also in breadth of curriculum. We provide this online platform, roboticscareer.org, which is not related to ARM membership. It's actually both for people who are working in manufacturing currently and wish to take continuing educational classes. It's oriented for employers who want to look for employees and post job advertisements. And it's also for high school students who wish to look for, who wish to find a career path that isn't through the typical higher level education path. The content represents over 16,000 training programs and represents over 2,500 training organizations. So so this one specific project that I'd like to mention is called the Robotics Manufacturing Hub, or just simply the Hub. So it was awarded as a part of a $62.7 million grant from federal Build Back Better funds through a regional challenge grant, and awarded by the U.S. Economic Development Agency to the Southwestern Pennsylvania New Economy Collaborative. It's about 4 different agencies who are involved in the awarding of this funding. So the focus of this grant is to develop small to medium manufacturers operating in Southwest Pennsylvania to improve their manufacturing by application of robotics, AI, and automation, which is basically the mission of ARM. Roughly, what we're doing is, whereas the other education and workforce development programs are oriented towards the workers, this is oriented towards the management of manufacturing companies, because they're typically not schooled in AI robotics. They have a lot of uncertainties. They want to understand how to adopt things specifically for their company, and they usually want to be talked through the specific use cases. So the 11-county region, this is the list of the names. If you're not from Pennsylvania, you won't understand it. So here's a graphic that shows where the Southwestern region is. And the full grant involves these five projects, of which ARM is responsible for project number 2, but it has a role in the other 4 projects as well. So starting on the extreme right, project 5 is led by Innovate Pittsburgh, which seeks to encourage underrepresented groups to pursue a startup, to found a company in robotics, AI, and automation. The output from that program would feed into the project 4, which is led by Innovation Works, and they provide advice to startups about how to create a viable business in the technology sector. Project 3 is basically developing the workforce. It's similar to what we're doing with the education and workforce development direction, but this is more specific, looking for this region and encouraging students to actually attend some of these classes and the programs that are available. And project one, which is led by Catalyst Connection, they're also co-located in the same building in Mill 19. They provide management advice to companies to help them take their operations to the next level. So they sometimes find companies who want to improve their manufacturing operations with robotics and AI, and they come to us and involve us as consultants. So this is the textual description of what I just went through. So what is specifically the focus of the manufacturing hub? So we received $14.2 million to use in a 4-year period of performance. And the money is earmarked to develop 4 prototypical manufacturing cells that are already ready and that can be customized for very specific prototyping and testing problems. We also have the mission of creating 3 to 5 entrepreneurial maker spaces in regions outside of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County, so that people with ideas for prototyping manufacturing processes could actually have access to those and experiment. So the main focus is to minimize the risk for the company who wants to undergo this risky transformation, and give them the confidence to evaluate what their trades are and what the risks are involved and what is the process involved, in transforming their manufacturing enterprise. The outcome that we hope to achieve is to make robotics and automation accessible to about 20 companies in this region, enhance the competitiveness of these 20 manufacturers, and to train about 80 incumbent and new manufacturing workers for the workforce. This is contact information. This is all of the URL and the QR code point to the same webpage. It's a webpage where you just fill out a very simple questionnaire and put your contact information. Or you can write to Robotics Manufacturing Hub at ARM Institute or give us a call. And the contact process, I'm not the lead on this. My colleagues are the lead on this, but they'll take your information, understand what the process is, what you're doing. We'll schedule a meeting, perhaps in-house at ARM, in which you explain what you're interested in, and we discuss possibilities. And then we might we'll probably schedule a follow-up visit to the manufacturing facilities and do a site visit. And afterwards, we'll write a report outlining what next steps would be and give an estimate of the time frame and how to get started. So I've participated in some of these, and it's very interesting, very educational, both from a robotics perspective as well as from the manufacturing perspective. So the qualification, what do we consider small and medium? Is that, well, first of all, you have to be operating in that 11 county region. If you're headquartered outside that region, but you have a unit that's working there, that would qualify as long as we do the business with the unit that's there. You need to have 500 employees or fewer and less than $100 million in annual revenue. But please act quickly, because we only have funds for 4 years. And once the funds run out, it won't be free. And so this is basically an icon to illustrate the rough process. And what if we don't know something? So we're a small team at ARM at the moment, but we do leverage our membership. We have quite a few integrators who are not always actively participating in all senses, but they're present and they're available as resources. So one of the things that we count on is actually accessing them for auxiliary help and information. And if the proposed work plan works and the manufacturer wants to go to the next step, they have access to our integrator network to actually help them move forward. We also put them in contact with our vendors, of which Yaskawa Motoman, as well as Fanuc, and other robot vendors. So it's really a very good and strong opportunity for manufacturers to make that sort of transition. So one of the things that we're doing is setting up a prototyping facility in the ARM building. And basically, without having specific requests at the moment to draw how we're configuring this, we basically divided the cells into the rightmost categories of manufacturing tasks that they should be capable of performing: fabrication, finishing, assembly, inspection, and material handling. This is a schematic of the high bay area within Mill 19. These are actually, if you've been to Mill 19, you might recognize the cells in the high bay floor. The middle cell is reserved for use by any of the 3 institutes that actually occupy the building, which is ARM, Catalyst, and CMU. And the plans are to formulate, the leftmost cell as the collaborative automation cell, in which there'll be 3 robot arms for collaborative automation, which is defined as part handling, packing, machine tending, bin picking, fastening, drilling. Cell 2 would be for inspection of large and small parts. 3 would be for fabrication and finishing, welding, grinding, painting. And 4 is material handling of fast of heavy materials and doing so rapidly. Here's another perspective of what it looks like. We have a lot of the equipment on order, and we plan to install it this summer so that we're up and ready in September, October timeframe. So that's it. And if anyone has any questions or I'm open for discussion, please. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yes.
This the first step that you do to identify the right candidate is to sort of identify how they are in terms of their productivity, right? Is there some sort of one benchmarking or maturity kind of framework that you guys are referencing on or like something like?
Actually, no. And it's perhaps for that reason that we don't necessarily have the benchmarks by which to gauge. We also receive interest, so it's a little bit interesting. The people who nominate themselves, it's a very self-selecting group. Some of them might have no idea at all about how robotics might apply. And then when we visit, it's a laundry list of things in which it could apply. And then there are others in which they're highly specialized, they're already highly automated, and they usually ask you to help them with the reach problems, which require a type of infrastructure improvement that might be beyond the initial scope of the work, and everywhere in between. So, but we still respond. We still give them, our analysis and assessment of what are some of the things that they would need. But we're not assuming that we know what their productivity is or what type of improvements we can make for them. Thanks.
Any questions for Joseph and what's going on lately at the Army Institute? As he indicated, a little bit of change going on, right? So
yep. So we're concluding the changes. We're concluding our 7-year contract. So a lot of our activities are in wrapping up, summarizing and providing reports to the government about what we did with the money. We have we issued our last call, which is going to be due in December. So we've got things going on, plus negotiating the new contracts.
Thanks, Joseph.
All right.